Good evening or afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We are talking about breakthrough success in this workshop, breakthrough success. So what are the tools that I use to swim from Mozambique to Madagascar? How do those results differ from results that I had earlier on in my life? So I'm going to give you 1 second to gather yourself. While you're waiting around, share this post, invite others to join, because I'm going to show you some photographs that I've never showed anyone before of my swim from Mozambique to Madagascar with Thane Williams. Thane, if you're watching this, I hope you like and share your beauty. And I'm going to get started in a couple of seconds. So give me 5. All right, cool. And if you can hear my voice and you can see my picture, please just like the post and leave a comment. Say, hello, Jonno. Yes, we can see you. We read you loud and clear. Actually, there we go. Elon says, hello. Hello, Elon. That's awesome. Glad you can hear it. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to talk about today is breakthrough success. So I'm not interested in, I am interested in like slow, gradual success, but every now and then there is like a breakthrough in our life. So we achieve something extraordinary. And I achieved something extraordinary in 2014. In fact, 2014 was like the most ridiculous year of my life, because in 2012, I was absolutely nowhere. I had finished my degree in accounting. I quit my job at a catering company where I was the general manager, and I went to France to basically drink champagne for 3 months. And I lived with this family. They were incredible. I made champagne. I went to Burgundy. I made Pinot Noir. And when I got back, I was so depressed because I hadn't spoken English to anyone in 3 months. I had no money, and I was in like a dark place. And then 2 years later, I was a best-selling author. I broke the world record for the longest stage swim, in the history of the universe with my friend. And I went to Argentina and Mauritius on overseas trips. I got married to the love of my life, had the most insane year ever. So there was a massive jump in that 2-year period. In fact, it happened in like a 1-year period. Oh, and I was a feature on a reality cooking TV show. So things changed very fast. And this swim talk is really how that happened. And I'm going to explain some of the methods or models that I actually used. I didn't know that I was using them at the time. And I'll explain how it all came about. And then I'm going to give you those tools, and you can use them just as I have to achieve pretty much anything in any area of your life. But it's not a magic trick. It's not like Rhonda Byrne says, just sit there and imagine it. And it will be, I'm sure that helps. In fact, I'll tell you where that helped me. But get settled in, and I'm going to take you through the process. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to set crazy goals, like how to set ridiculous goals, or how I set ridiculous goals. Then how to lock yourself into success. So sometimes people succeed or they work really hard, but they don't actually feel like working hard. So what is it that makes you work hard when you don't feel like it? And then finally, how do you train your environment to actually do that? So I'm going to talk about 6 different things. I'm going to talk about the swim. So I'm going to give you the background info on the swim. People are dying to know, how difficult the swim was, how, what were some of the stats we had to deal with, what was, was there danger? So I'm going to take you through that. Then we're going to talk about goals, people, mentors, peers, and cause, and you'll understand what that means. But just hold on, because that is much more important than it looks. But I'm going to explain how it all fits together in the game of locking yourself into a goal and what achieving unusual results. So this photograph is the most dishonest photograph in the history of adventuring, because what it looks like is this luxury boat in the background and 2 dudes just swimming it out in the ocean. Okay, the water is 30 degrees or maybe a bit warmer. That is a flipping sick boat. Okay, but this is an absolute lie, because the boat actually has like a hole in it from the first time we tried to leave the harbor. This whole mission actually almost ended on numerous occasions because of how the crew was understaffed and and we just forgot things. So like on the way to the launch point for the boat, we looked over the side of the boat and there was blue smoke coming out of the engine because one of the guys had forgotten to put the pump the water pump onto the engine. That's just one example. The dinghy broke, and we were sticking our fingers into the engine of the dinghy just to change gear. But this is really what it was. If you look into the distance, you can see there's nothing. We were swimming in the wild ocean. This is a picture of the dinghy that accompanied us. And how we did it was we lay in the water, and I only breathe right. So I can't breathe left, which meant I always had to be looking to my right. And we had to know which direction we were swimming in. And so Thane, if we were on the other side of the boat, like if the boat was on my left, I had to swim between the boat and Thane could swim and he could watch the boat and I would watch him. And then the boat needed to tell us what to do. So they would tell us whether we were turning right or left. And what you can see there is the guy on the boat's got his arm in a funny direction because he's actually giving us a signal to turn right. But they are like, they must also hold a world record for the longest dinghy ride in the history ever, because they rode that dinghy all the way across the ocean as well, right next to us, and killed the engine on the way. So we did encounter sharks, and I will show you pictures at the end. And we saw 3 sharks, and they were terrifying. And if you look at this water, the main reason we had people on the boat was to watch for wildlife. But you can see there's a reflection, and so no one could actually see the sharks. We saw the sharks before everyone every single time, which is very irritating because they're terrifying. And there's just some other stuff we saw. So we saw this beautiful pilot whale, but the guys on the boat saw this one coming from miles away. It was probably like a kilometer away, and it was swimming at a rapid speed. And because it's got this round nose, they thought it was a killer whale. So they're sitting there, and we're quite far away from the boat. And in the distance, they see this, what they think is a killer whale, like racing towards us. And so they shouted at us to get into the dinghy. And we stuck our GoPro in the water underneath the dinghy and got this beautiful shot of this pilot whale. And in fact, funny story, this pilot whale went off to the main boat, to the big motor yacht that we were on about 5 minutes later. And the captain jumped into the water, and he had this beautiful esoteric moment with this pilot whale with his GoPro. And he sat there and he filmed like this 5-minute session with the GoPro. And he got out the water and he said to his first mate, "Oh my God, my life has changed. That was so beautiful. I can't wait to show you the video." And he had actually forgotten to push record on his GoPro. Shame. Anyway, the jellies. Okay, everyone talks about the sharks when we're on the swim, but I have to just tell you, the jellyfish were so bad on the swim. We reckon we got stung about once a minute on the swim. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a photograph of the one jelly that stung us the most, which is about the size of a match, of a sort of the burny bit of a match, and they just kind of like float around in clouds. And we got stung by about 1 every minute, and we calculated that we swam for 9,300 minutes, which means we probably got stung by jellies about 9,300 times. But on special occasions, we got stung by these guys. So these ones. This is a photograph I took from the aquarium in Cape Town, but it's the same kind. These ones, when they sting you, if I have it right, it stings you like a shock, like an electric punch, almost like when you shock yourself on a cable. And then these two have got these lovely long trails. And so what happens when you're swimming, when you get stung by these, you swim into them, but you don't feel it, and then they hook on your ear, and then they stroke your shoulder along the way. So you get this like beautiful brush of burn, and then we just laugh at each other in agony. So we got stung by a ton of jellies. Thane actually wrote a song about jellyfish because he hated them so much while we were on the swim. And then injuries. So this was just one injury that I had. My shoulder got so messed up from all the swimming that I actually had I had to get a few injections. I don't remember what it was, if it was cortisone or Voltaren or something. But that shoulder of mine, which is my left shoulder, is actually still ruined today. So if I sleep on my left shoulder, I can't. I wake up in the middle of the night. And there's also we also couldn't sleep on our shoulders when we were on the boat because we were so stiff. So basically, what we'd do is like roll onto our shoulders in the night, and then wake up because it was too sore. So if we were swimming so much, and I'll give you the stats just now, but this is just some of the war stories. Now, when it came to the end of the swim, and this is like my best part, I was terrified we were going to get attacked by a shark the whole time. And what happened at the end is the captain didn't want to tell me what lay ahead because he knew I was terrified. Every time I got out of the water, I was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't die. And I was an absolute wreck, total wreck. And I kept asking him, you know, is there more life closer? Is there more life in the water closer to Madagascar? You know, how much trouble are we in for here? And he kept lying. He said, no, the water's quite clear. There's no life or whatever. And subsequently found out that this section of the coastline is actually the second biggest barrier reef in the world. And it's full of life. In fact, there are boats from China all over the world come just to trawl on this reef. The only reason you can't actually see that from the sky is because this whole coastline is estuary. So the whole west coast of Madagascar is pure estuary washout, which means the water looks like ginger beer. It's like murky. There's very bad visibility. And as you can see, they're just river mouths everywhere. So we were landing over here. This was our point, Cap San Andre. And you can see it's right next to the biggest estuary. Where do you avoid swimming with sharks? In the evening and near estuaries. And so we were landing in this point. So anyway, this is where we landed. And on the whole way across, we kind of swam from about here, and luckily we got pulled down by the current, and then we swam across, and this current actually pulled us back up. We thought it was going to take us down, but actually it brought us back up, and eventually we land. And so we kind of scooped up, and then we thought we would swim down onto Cap San Andre, and so we actually aimed our last few days at swimming up. And what happened was we landed about here and we needed to swim down. And as you can see, these arrows, they're pointing across and up. And what we thought would be like just being washed up onto the beach as pleasure ended up being probably the 2 hardest days of swimming we've ever had in our entire lives, where we swam for 3 hours and made like 2 kilometers distance. It was absolutely soul destroying. And so you can see, here's the route. Each little flag is the beginning or the end of a swim. So it got quite tight over here. These flags very close together. There was a lot of current. And then it got quite loose here. We had favorable current pulling us across. And then you can see over here, as we were swimming down towards the point, these flags get super close together. And that was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And so guess what? On the last day, we thought, okay, well, we're definitely we're gonna make it. And my fear of sharks actually climaxed on this day, because we landed on the beach next to the estuary, and this is what time of day we landed. So the sun was literally going down, and the last half an hour of the swim we spent in the darkness. It was absolutely terrifying. I was convinced I was going to die so much that in the last like 200 meters, I was actually looking across at Thane thinking like, this is the last 3 or 4 minutes of my life, because I've been so convinced I was going to get attacked by a shark the whole way that this is now when it's going to happen. So anyway, that's the climax for us, and we call this arch the Arch of Platonic Friendship. And so at dusk in an estuary against ridiculous current. And just to give you an idea of the kind of training, this is the training we did. So by the way, this is a 460-kilometer swim. And then this is the training. So over a few weeks, each one of these pillars is a week. And this is a tiny bit of training we did here. I think, well, this is mine. Thane was much fitter than me, so he actually trained less. But we climaxed at about 55 kilometers in 1 week. And a 55-kilometer week for anyone who knows swimming is a beast of a week. That is enormous. And then when we actually did the event, this is what our swimming looked like. So this is 100. This line here is for 100 kilometers. And so we did 3 weeks in a row of more than 100 kilometers a week. And I think our biggest week was almost 200 kilometers. So a lot of swimming. Compared to what we trained, it was outrageous. And what you'll see is this huge gap over here where there was no swimming. And I actually phoned Thane because I got sick at about here from whatever, probably overtraining. And I remember phoning Thane saying, dude, I'm out. I can't really swim. I'm out of the game. I'm I can't do it. And then he clipped into sort of mission gear. And for this whole period, we had the Christmas season and January and February, and I was kind of convinced I wasn't going. And then I hadn't trained at all. So I went from pretty much like no training. I think that's like a 5-kilometer week to a 70-kilometer week straight away, followed by 120K, followed by 150K week, which is, I think I'm lucky to be alive, actually. But anyway, so here are some great stats that you'll want to know, especially if you're a swimmer or you're an athlete. So the total distance was 460 kilometers, and that's with the curve. I think in a straight line, it's 400 flat or 410. We swam for 9,300 minutes, which is what I said just now. But there was another crazy stat, an average distance of 19 kilometers a day. So that means we swam almost a half marathon's worth of running every single day. So the reason I'm telling you this is, well, you'll actually find out why. I'm not trying to like rate myself or say I'm super hardcore. It was super hardcore and it was very tough. And you can ask anyone on that boat. I had the least fun out of anyone. I was like the sad panda, the miserable, whining, moaning myrtle. I was not a nice person to be around. I hated it because I thought I was going to die, and I was in absolute pain. I missed my girlfriend, who's now my wife. I was like, I don't know, I hated it. But regardless of how much I hated it, we still managed to achieve these extraordinary results. And this is the point I'm getting to. So a lot of people will see the world record breaking and the book coming out and think, oh wow, like Jonno got so lucky, he absolutely smoked it, like he got this lucky break, and good for him. Whereas this is actually much more important. Is Bill Gates always says what most people underestimate what they can do, overestimate what they can do in a year, and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And you watch people like Tony Robbins, and they talk and they say, he says he went from $30,000 a year to $1 million in one year. Now that might be possible, but that is an unfair precedent or standard to set for people. And you don't know what he had done in the previous 9 years. So I want to tell you what happened in the previous 9 years first, just to make it clear. So in 2000, I was in grade 10. I was 16. And I didn't play any sport. I didn't play any sport when I was in 2001. And in matric, which is like in South Africa, it's your last year of school, I did no sport. And in 2003, I had no sport. And in 2004, I was at chef school. I was living with my dad, and I ran a half marathon. And this is me in 2004, smoking. I was like the drunkest guy at the party, all the rage. And basically over these years, I started testing myself. So in my second gap year, I had no sport. I started my first business. I had no sport. And then all of a sudden in 2017, 2008, I ran these 2 half marathons. And in 2009, I said to my friends, like, let's do, and remember, because I had done no sport, because I was this trash guy, these events were a massive surprise for me. I had no idea I could do a half marathon. And so because I had done the half marathon, I asked myself the question, I wonder if I can do a Robben Island swim. And so there we go. I did the Robben Island swim in 2009. And then in 2010, I'd actually put on quite a lot of weight from doing Robben Island. I went up to like 94 from 79. So I put in 15 kilograms. I put on 15 kilograms in, I think it was like 4.5 months. In 4.5 months. So I know I help people lose weight, but if you want to know how to put on weight, speak to me, because I can get you 15 kilos in 4.5 months or 5 months. And so I put on all this weight to swim from Robben Island to Cape Town. And then I wanted to lose it, so I did Ironman. And then the next year I ran some half marathons, and then I did another Ironman. And while I was driving back from one of these Ironmans, we decided to do the swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And if you look from the day of my first half marathon to the day we swam from Mozambique to Madagascar, it is almost exactly 10 years, because my first half marathon was 2 oceans. And 2 oceans over the Easter weekend, and we started swimming on the 28th of February. and we swam for the whole of March. So we finished the swim almost 10 years to the day. Now, for a lot of people, it looks like overnight success, but there was a whole decade of me thinking, what can I do next? What can I do next? How can I push myself? What else do you think I'm capable of? So anyway, now we're going to get into how these goals actually get set, and it's crazy. So this is Thane. We're sitting on the boat during I think we were in the eye of a storm, and Thane's a model, so you're allowed to say, wow, he's so beautiful and ripped and good looking. We get it all the time. He's always the tanned guy when all of us like white dads are sitting there like pasty as anything. So Thane and I were sitting, and we finished the swim, and we said to each other, like, both of us are like hating this. My shoulder's falling apart. Thane keeps getting stung in the mouth by jellyfish. We're exhausted. We're in agony. Like, why? What is it that's making us get in the water every day and swim? Why? And so we look back at all the different things we had done, and over time, what we realized was that we had actually created what we call an unbreakable web of accountability. And what we kept saying to each other was, yeah, well, there's just too many people involved in this for us to quit. And so what we had done is actually locked ourselves in. Because if it was, I mean, we had swum just the two of us before and gone for training, and halfway through looked at each other and said, this is over. Let's go. We're over this. Tired of swimming. Whereas when we were on this event, we just couldn't stop. So so after that, I started Real Meal Revolution, and Thane went on to start his own business, and he's a very successful model and a legend. And basically, I realized people were struggling with weight loss issues, and so I looked back to my swim to think, okay, well, these are difficult goals for people trying to lose weight or trying to do anything. And that was a difficult goal for me. So like, what were the features or elements of this unbreakable web of accountability that made us do stuff, even though we didn't really feel like doing it? And so these are the pillars, and I'm going to take you through them just to explain like what our environment looked like. So the first thing is that I had a partner in crime. There was Thane. He was this guy. This is actually the Ironman that we were at when we were driving back from East London to Cape Town after this Ironman. And we thought, okay, well, why don't we do something ridiculous? What should we do? And we had this conversation to swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And in fact, I told some journalists this story, and it was a Cape Town journalist. And she asked me, what made you decide to do this swim from Mozambique to Madagascar? And I said to her, well, we were driving back from Ironman and decided this would be like the next big step. And so she published in the Cape Times that the two boys decided to do the mission after watching an action movie, because she obviously didn't know what Ironman was. Anyway, so this is the action movie we were at. And so what we did was we actually committed to it right then and there. We sent an email to David Greer, and we started putting feelers out. And the thing is, as you put that energy out into the world, and not in an esoteric way, like literally if you tell people what you're doing, then people start to hear and they tell other people, and that's what happened. So we fired an email off straight away, and the balls were rolling. We had a crystal clear goal. That was it. Get from there to there and swim. That's simple. We just had a very crystal clear goal. And now when the visualization thing comes into play, Rhonda Byrne talks about just imagining it, and if you imagine it clearly enough, it'll happen. Like, that is true to an extent, but it's not that it just happens. It's that if you imagine it clearly enough, you actually solidify what it is that you're aiming for with your actions that you take to get there. And so while I was training for my swim, I needed something to motivate me through my training sessions. And so I kept imagining my toes touching the sand on the other side of the ocean. I mean, you can imagine it's like very far to swim, and it's very boring to swim 10 kilometers. It's like soul destroying. So I used to imagine my toes touching the sand, and that was my visualization exercise. But I wouldn't say that visualizing my toes touching the sand is like the key to making it happen. Making it happen required swimming a shitload. Okay, so crystal clear goal. But then what people forget about is process. And this is the thing. Everyone wants to know, like, what is it that we can do that'll make the magic happen without needing to do the work? And unfortunately, I can't sit and say, oh yeah, we just imagined it and then it happened and it was great and now we've got this goal. Like, we did a ton of work. But what I can tell you is that when you look at the work other people have done, you think that they have something that you don't. And this is what I can tell you. So this is my training sheet. Every single line is a week of training. And so it was only 5 or 6 months of training. But what you'll see here is that in week 1, I swam 800 meters. I swam 800 meters on a Thursday. And I was so unfit. I just gotten back from Ultimate Browmaster the week before. I was so fat and unfit. I got in the pool and I swam 800 meters. And I was basically drowning. And my coach, he said to me, Jonno, just get out. Just go. You are broken. You can't even move. Go back, get some rest, and come back next week. And so that was me. That was a whole week of training. In my mind, I'm like, in 6 months' time, I'm going to swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And my first training swim was 800 meters, and I was buggered. And so the next week, I swam 1.7 Ks, and I survived. And then I swam a 4.3 kilometer day. But look at this. This is the spreadsheet that I did when I was training in 2014. I was so proud of myself that I left a comment in that cell. I said, boom, motherfucker. Okay. like that's how stoked I was because I had like broken the barrier of the 800 meters that I swam the week before. Let's forget, like, later on in my training, in like the 5th of November, in that week, I swam a 12 kilometer and I swam an 11 kilometer. And then there was another week later where I swam 55 Ks in a week. But when I hit 4.3, I was so excited, I left a comment for myself in the spreadsheet. And the reason I'm showing you this is that for a lot of you, you might see a goal of someone running a half marathon or even hitting a goal weight and think, oh my God, like that is absolutely impossible. But just remember this, the stoke that you can feel even when you just lose 1 kilogram or walk around the block. Whenever you do something that you've never done before, it needs to be celebrated. And this is me, like the record breaker. And I'm like celebrating as though I've just won the whole race by swimming 4.3 Ks. Okay, and this is where things get slightly different. So with a lot of us, we set goals and then we keep them secret. And there's almost a paradox here. So I have set a ton of goals in my life, and even there are a few goals that I still have to achieve because I've told people about them. But what a lot of us do is we say, I'm not going to tell anyone about my goal because I'll be so embarrassed if I don't achieve it. And the irony in it is that if you tell everyone about your goal, that actually forms part of the network or this web, unbreakable web of accountability. And that's actually going to help you get over the line, because if you've told everyone what you're going to do, what you're doing is training your environment to actually make way for what it is that you want. And so a typical example of this is what, okay, and you need to take a certain amount of action. So when you tell people what your goals are and you see people giving you pushback, then your next goal is to get rid of all of those people. You just tell them to leave your life, or you keep them around and prove them wrong, but stay away from people who suck your energy. So when you tell people and they give you bad vibes, get them out of your life, and then tell the people who will support you, because what will happen is they will start to expect this action of you. And so if you tell people like from now on, I'm actually just going to be a healthy person, and then you start acting like that, they'll stop inviting you to things that are unhealthy, which is for your own best interests. And then, if you tell people you want to start running, you might make some running friends, but tell the people in your world, friends, family, colleagues, clients, press, platform, anyone in your life, what you're doing. And what will happen is your environment starts to cater for this lifestyle change. So I've put this, my Facebook profile, when I've got goals, I put them into Facebook, but you don't have to publish everything, like go and be you don't have to knock on people's doors and tell them. But if it comes up in conversation, people say, well, what are you up to at the moment? What's keeping you busy? Tell people what you are trying to achieve. People like to hear that other people have focus and direction. And when you tell people what's going on in your life, it sounds impressive, not braggy. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. But tell people like, oh, I'm scared, nervous, working hard at this thing. I really hope it comes through. I'd love it. I'm going to make sure it does. That's a harmless thing to do. Don't go and, try to get everyone to like sponsor you, although you could do that too. That's what I did. And then the mentors thing. This is really important. So we had crazy mentors. So this is Brendan. He was my coach, and he coached us for free because he wanted the credentials at his swim school. He was at Vineyard Swimming School in Cape Town. Coached us for free because he wanted us to succeed. We had Damien. Damien helped us with all of our photographs and stuff, preparing. We needed to get press coverage to make sure the event worked. David Greer, we raised money for his charity. It started out like that. So he was the first adventurer who gave us advice on how to set it up. Tim Noakes, what a lot of people don't know is that the reason Real Mule Revolution exists is because I was using the book to raise money for the swim. So I actually asked Tim Noakes to be involved. And we asked him, we didn't actually get as much advice as we would have liked because we didn't have that much time, but he gave us some pretty sound advice on how to swim. I remember him saying, one stroke at a time, Jonno, one stroke at a time. And that was like, it's just simple advice, but it really helps. And then this is the guy with the boat. He was giving us advice on how to cross the channel at the right angle. So it wasn't like Thane and I became these explorers. We actually had a lot of people giving us advice. And the unsung hero here is the woman called Mandy Russell. And Mandy Russell's a coach. And Thane and I had some crazy beef brewing up on the way to the swim. We had like a little bit of conflict. And I was trying to pull out because I was sick. And Thane was like had his head in the game. And Mandy gave us like a coaching session. So coaching is critical. Mandy, she managed to get us to talk about our feelings, and it changed the game for us. So we had a lot of people involved who we were kind of accountable to. And the reason this is so important is because there's actually an unspoken rule. When someone's helped you and you fail, if it is their job to make people succeed, you failing actually makes them a failure, if that makes sense. Whereas for instance, if someone is an amazing performance coach and you perform and win, then you give that person credentials as a performer or a winner, a coach of winners. And so all of these people who helped us, in a way, they may have failed if we failed. They may have seen their own work as failure. So if someone helps you, you are accountable to them to succeed. Very important part of wrapping yourself in a web of accountability. Okay, so finally, there were peers. Thane was my partner in crime, big time. We swam together all the time. He was so much better than me, so I just wanted to stay alive next to him. And he had all the swimming credentials. If he wasn't my partner, there's no way anyone would have sponsored us because I had nothing. But yeah, you got to find people who you're suffering with, because suffering builds community. And then finally, a cause. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about this because originally it wasn't the plan to swim for charity. And how it works in these businesses or in these operations is you get money, you have to raise sponsorship money, and so it's almost impossible. It's basically impossible to raise money, and one of the ways you do it is if it's for a good cause. So originally the cause was a commercial decision. Don't get me wrong, I love helping people and I want people to make a difference, but at this time in my life, it was like a boys' mission. We wanted to go and have this adventure, and it worked that being involved in a charity would make it more likely to happen. But over time, as we realized, the value of what we were doing, going to see these kids in hospital, we raised money for Operation Smile, by the way. And after I'd written the book, what happened is we got the publishers to agree to donate 5 Rand for every copy sold to this charity. And for those of you who don't know, the book sold 400, I think it's 300 and something, 400,000 copies. And so it's raised, almost 2 million Rand for Operation Smile. But with that it became very difficult to pull out. And so what happens with this web, if you look at it, is you have all these people who've helped you get there. You've got the whole environment outside of that team who knows what you're up to. You've got this crystal clear goal, got this partner in crime, and when you're fighting and you feel like you're going to fail or whatever, the people who you're actually helping by doing this mission are the ones there who really lift you up and keep you going, kind of in the dark time where you think you might fail. And so this cause element is actually one of the most important elements because it's a huge motivator, but it's also good for humanity to have a cause greater than yourself to keep you motivated. And so those are the 7 elements of breakthrough that we followed to create extraordinary results. And I want to ask you a few things. Okay, so this is my classic list of ailments that people come to Real Meal Revolution with. We've got a whole lot of emotional experiences, addictive personality, bingings. We avoid socializing. We have low self-worth, feel angry, introverted, etc. Physical experiences like bloating. So just listen to these and kind of like take note, like which ones of these affect you. Insomnia, muffin top, flabby arms, or maybe you have high blood pressure or PCOS, or struggling with extra weight or skin irritations. And so this is the most important question of the whole talk, is what would you do if you didn't have those? That's not the most important question, by the way. That's coming next. What would you do if these weren't a problem anymore? Who would you spend your time with? How would that be for you? How would it be if that wasn't an issue for you anymore? Because now I want to know whether those parts that I've just mentioned are in place for you. Because if you're watching this, I'm imagining that you've spent time in your life trying to solve these problems, reverse these conditions, lose the weight, hit some kind of goal. And I'm curious about how many of these elements of breakthrough you've implemented into your goal. So have you actually committed to anything yet? And commitments, fire an email, like for us, like buy a ticket for a race, sign up for a program, go see a specialist or something. And then is the goal crystal clear? We had to get from A to B. So is it clear? Can you measure it? Is it feeling good in a bikini, or is it like wearing a size X bikini? And is there a date? A goal without a date, a deadline, is just a dream. So then have you got processes? You saw like my process was daily, and it was mapped out. Like we need to do X amount by X amount of time. There's actually a bunch of processes involved. Like losing weight's one thing, but the process is to cut out a whole lot of bad foods, make sure you're eating a good meal twice a day, once a day, 3 times a day, whatever you're doing. Going for walks on the weekend, perhaps you including exercise at a later stage. Agreeing with Wayne Kaminsky, immovable deadlines. I can't remember which author it was. I think it was the guy who wrote Catch-22. He said the only thing required to make great work is a plan and an unrealistic deadline. And so how many people have you told, like, is this goal that you're struggling with, your weight, etc., is this actually an issue that you're keeping a secret, or are you telling the people in your life what's going on? I can tell you if it's a weight issue or some kind of emotional issue, it's showing up in your behavior in one way or another, whether you are deliberately trying to hide it or openly expressing it. And then have you got professional help, and are you doing it with other people? These are all questions that I think most people would answer no to, and there might be, you might have some of these in play. And the last one is it bigger than you? And so on a weight loss journey, this is really important. A lot of people get this wrong because they think I will feel better if I lose weight, or I will look better and that'll change everything. And I talk about in another talk where we talk about like a shift in identity, which is also critical. But when we're talking about making it bigger than you, have you ever thought about what the impact of your weight or health journey would be on the people around you? So if you have grandchildren, children, siblings, even parents, aunts, nephews, whatever, if you've got people in your life who depend on you or who you can be of service to, how much more value could you add to their lives if you were in better shape? And I know you might think, oh, I give everything of myself to all these people all the time and I'm exhausted and I'm overweight. And so the question there is like, what if you gave yourself more self-care and gave them less, but better? What if you gave them better quality you? And don't think about it in the context of I could give them more. Think about it in the context of they would have. So my wife would have a husband who is X, or if you're a woman speaking, you say my husband would have a wife who is X or who does Y. My children would have a parent who, and then all of a sudden you start to see how your changes benefit those around you. So my favorite slide, I know that I've just given you quite a lot of information, and I hope that you understand the link between weight loss and this adventure. Like for me, that was an insane adventure. I had no idea I'd ever be able to do it. It was one of the wildest dreams I'd ever had, and it came true from a whole series of totally obscure events. But at the core of it, it was this web of accountability we locked ourselves into, and we couldn't actually break out of it. There was just too many people involved. The stakes were too high. And so what I'd like to do is tell you, we do have a program that we've designed at Real Meal Revolution about this. So what I've just explained to you is a tool. So by the way, if you want to hear about the programs, like the comment or just say yes. But we have this tool at Real Meal called the Summons. And the Summons is this mindset tool, and it's in every program of ours. We say fill in the summons, and it asks you these questions like, who are you depending on? Who's your mentor? Who are the people who you're going to use to make this about something bigger than you, etc., etc. And only like 5 years into running Real Meal Revolution, we decided, why don't we build a program around the summons where we actually provide people with, a mentor, a group of peers, clear goals, etc. And so what I want to tell you about is a few of the Real Meal Revolution products, and then I want to tell you about the program that is designed to manufacture this unbreakable web of accountability that I was talking about that got me through the swim. So the first thing I want to tell you about is the RMR flagship. It's the online course. This is the foundation course. It teaches you the ins and outs of banting. You get a meal plan every week. You get access to a whole lot of different lectures from experts. It's super cool. And this is a 1,500 Rand program, which is awesome. Then the other program I want to tell you about is also 1,500 Rand for 3 months. And these are expert lectures. So this fits into like the mentor or expert category in the summons. This is Victoria Webster. She is a professional psychologist who focuses on eating psychology. This is Bridget Surtees. She is a keto dietitian. And this is me. And we each run a series of 12 workshops in this program. So you get the habit building theory, but we also run these workshops. And each series of workshops is worth about 5 or 6 grand on its own. They are like live online seminars that you can attend. And if you can't make them, we send you the recordings. This is our web app. So we have an online application that you can log all of your meals on. We have all of the recipes that I've ever written in this program. We have meal plans that you can print out with shopping lists. They're tracking tools where you can track your carbs. It's a super cool application, and it costs 200 Rand a month. So it's 600 Rand for 3 months. But the program I want to tell you about is called the Hero Program. It is by far the strongest accountability you'll get from any support program that I've ever been part of and that we have ever run. So it's designed to mimic the whole presentation I just gave you on my swim environment. So you will join a group of 5 like-minded individuals. So you get your own team essentially on this journey. Then you get a rockstar coach, so a leader who has been trained by Real Meal Revolution, who has lost weight with Real Meal Revolution. And you attend 6 powerful fortnightly workshops where you crystallize your goals, you get measurable, achievable goals, and you decide on process goals. So you get goal, outcome goal, and process. And then you get daily check-ins. So you have processes that you have to check in on every single day. It is unbelievable. So I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And then the results on this one are guaranteed. So we guarantee you the results. It is amazing. And the results are nuts. Like you can lose anything from 6 to, I think 20 kilograms is I think 20 kilograms the record on Hero Program. I stand to be corrected, but it might be more. And this is a 4,500 Rand program, and it launches at the beginning of every month. So the launch date for this is the next one is, it's usually the first Friday of the month. So whatever that is when it is. And so this is one of the mentors running the December one. So just so you know, we are supporting people throughout the season. Most people decide at this time of the year it's the time to quit and give up on their health. We believe the exact opposite. We believe if you can even get through season half better, then you're better off for the new year. Because most people put on all their weight for the year in the last 2 months of the year, and then they spend the next 9 months or 10 months of the year trying to lose the weight they put on over season, and then they don't, and the cycle continues. So this is the period that matters the most. And so Danny is kindly offered to run a group over the festive season, and we have another coach, Sharon, who's running a group, and I believe we have one more. So there are a few slots available. Anyway, Danny's an absolute legend. She lost a ton of weight, and the results she's getting from a group were insane. And this is just something that she said about her transformation with us. She started during lockdown to crush some of the lockdown spread, and we indoctrinated her into the cult, and now she drinks the Kool-Aid. So this is what your Zoom workshop looks like. You meet and you discuss your goals, and the coach facilitates everything, and you all stick to times to respect each other. It's a very, very well-run workshop. And at the end of that workshop, you have crystal clear goals. You decide how much you're going to weigh at the end of the hero program, and then you put processes in place that you can check in on. So this is just an example of a process. With intermittent fasting or cooking a new recipe every single week or every single day is probably a bit extreme. But to relight your passion for food, you might decide, actually, I need to learn some more recipes. Or to accelerate your weight loss, you might decide, no, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. And then your coach decides on or asks you how you're going to check in. And then you check in every day. And the coach, if you don't check in, the coach says, okay, where are you? Why haven't you checked in? Come tell us how you're doing, etc., etc. The whole point is to make sure you're doing the stuff, but also make sure you are checking in with the group. And that actually builds amazing community. They're like high fives and bum taps, obviously virtually through the WhatsApp group. But you really build a strong bond, and you start to actually care about each other's results quite a lot. And so with the hero program offer that we're running, the offer is an epic deal. So so I was laughing at Elon's comment. So the program, the hero program, is a 3-month program, and it's 4,500 upfront. But we're including the online program, the online course, which is 1,500 Rand. And we're including all the workshops from the Habit program, which is another 1,500 Rand. And we're including the web app. And if you sign up now for this, in this period, you will get a 2,000 Rand discount on the eating psychology program. So the total value of this bundle is 10,100 Rand. Okay. And let me tell you, the workshop program in itself, when I said it's 6,000 Rand each, I'm not joking. That program is invaluable. It's live recordings with these experts who talk about incredible stuff. I mean, it's not rate yourself Sunday, but my workshops are very powerful. We look at transformation. Victoria looks at eating psychology, and Bridget shares her knowledge on keto science, and she's at the forefront. They are super powerful. So that bundle is valued at 10 grand. And this is one of our clients. In fact, Margie is Danny's mom. Margie Hackett. Danny is the hero leader for December. I only realized that now. And so Margie says, totally holistic approach. I can decide how much and when to eat or not eat, unlike needing to have X meals a day. So what she's saying is that the process that you follow is you drive the process with the guidance of the coach, and you get to decide. It's not like we tell you, you have to have this on this day at this time. It's co-created. So you decide with your coach. And one of the benefits of a lot of the other stuff that you deal with, like the eating psychology modules, she says, I'm no longer food obsessed, and I now enjoy socializing, focusing on the experience rather than the food table. So if you're that person who stands at the snack table because it's like awkward, or you're avoiding a relative, you may gain some insights into why that happens and what to do about it. And so this is the program deal. It's 4,500 today. And there is a link to the hero program in the comments on Facebook, and Wendy will pop it into the YouTube links as well. And this is the program. So if you have any questions, shout. I know there are a few questions that I can answer already, and the questions like, what happens when I get to the end? It is renewable. You can totally renew. Can I pay on a monthly plan? We do have an account with Pages Now, and Pages Now is a South African company. If you have a South African bank account and ID number, they instantly approve your credit abilities, and you can pay it off in 3 installments. We are quite firm about having it upfront because it ruins the vibe, quite honestly, when someone cancels like 2 months in. It's not like an app where no one else is affected, because essentially if someone signs up for the program, they're actually signing up to be in a group of 4. And so you being part of the program is actually part of the program that they've signed up for. And that's why there's this accountability. So you commit to 3 months. You're welcome to leave after 3 months if it's not your vibe. Generally, people stay, but it's 3 months up front. So, but you can get finance for that. What happens after you pay? You go through the paywall, you arrive in an online course. And in fact, with this bundle, you'll get 2 online courses. One of them's got all the other stuff merged into it, and the other is the hero program. And you'll see links to join the welcome session. One of our team members will send you a WhatsApp and say, hey, and tell you what to do next, and invite you to the welcome session so we can welcome you on board and show you the ropes. What else? When does it start? So it's the first Friday of every month. I know that this particular round, if you're watching live, is next Friday, but it should be the first Friday every month. So I think next Friday might be the 3rd of December, 2nd of December. I'm not sure, but whatever next Friday is. What do you have to eat? You have a number of different choices. You will have access to the online course material instantly, and you will have access to the web app immediately, which means you can actually get started today, even though the official start date is the first Friday of the month. And so if you're buying this like a couple weeks before the end of the month, you've got 2 weeks to get started, to download a meal plan, to get all your shopping together before you even get the accountability and the support. And then you will have 3 months access to that. After the program, if you want, you've got various different options. So you can subscribe to the web app for 200 Rand a month. You can stay a member of the Habit program for 500 Rand a month, or you can renew and do the hero program again, or you can upgrade to coaching, etc., etc. Those are all options to you. And you can also do the hero program in conjunction with our other programs like coaching or the Eat Psych program. So I hope that's enough information to get you going. Wendy has commented on this post, so you're free to contact her. She's popped her number there. And if you have any questions, she's your person. If you can't get hold of her, you can mail support@realmealrevolution.com, or you can mail Wendy@realmealrevolution.com. And I hope to see you in the hero round. It's going to be amazing. I really hope that you'll commit to your health over the festive season and not let all the family members throw mince pies down your throat. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You are better than that. And so I hope to see you in the welcome session on the other side. All I have to say now is thank you so much for listening. If you're still at work, well played. You scored a free hour. If I've robbed you from your family time, thank you for giving up that time. But more importantly, well done for dedicating that time to you. And if you've got any questions about my talk or about the swim or about Real Meal Revolution, fire a question off to support@realmealrevolution.com. You have been amazing, and I will see you later.